Katy Perry is officially among the most successful and celebrated female entertainers on the planet. Since her 2008 debut, America's reigning pop queen has sealed her place in music royalty.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the behind the scenes of the Hello Katy tour. Ah! I think we should go and just say hi. They might freak out a little bit. Should we do it? Yes, yes, yes.
Katy's ascent to mega stardom has been so dramatic that she's the only woman in history to have 5 #1 singles from the same album. Few know the real story of Katy's bumpy ride to superstardom and how success very nearly passed her by.
She was very, 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 very nervous, literally shaking. She was right next to me, and she was just her whole body was convulsing.
It's been quite the journey. I was signed to major labels and dropped. They wanted me to be like whatever was popular, like the Avril Lavigne, the Ashley Simpson, the Kelly Clarkson at the time. I liked those girls, but I just wanted to be me. When I was a kid, I grew up in this very sheltered, kind of suppressive atmosphere.
She wasn't allowed to watch any TV. Bedtime stories were just Bible verses. Church was all she knew.
Her parents are Pentecostal ministers. They came to the show in Paris and they were very reserved people.
When everything went mad about Russell Brand and her, and she was on the front cover of every magazine, and it was a weekly kind of Katy Perry fix.
My comedy now is all about sort of domesticity and looking after cats and burglar alarms and all cleaning your teeth together. When it's about roaring through the London streets with razor blades and ticker tape and glitter all over your tongue.
We're getting married, and we're gonna wear white.
I was really surprised because they just met and then all of a sudden they're getting married.
It's extraordinary how when Katy and Russell got together, the speed at which they kind of committed to each other.
We interviewed Katy around the time she was about to get married to Russell, and she said, you know, when someone's the one, you just know. She's a real romantic like that.
Katy was in her mid-20s, awash with sex hormones at that age. Your biology is positively screaming, I want to find someone to have babies with.
She was going with her gut instinct.
Now, when you're awash with those hormones and you connect at the kind of animal level, then you don't make good choices.
The romantic element I keep private because between me and my lovely wife. The crazy element, you've seen my books, waking up in rooms full of refugees, hanging off of boats, arrested in crack houses. I had a ridiculous life.
When you break up after a whirlwind relationship, you know people are thinking, I told you so. And how foolish would you feel when you had this ridiculously huge marriage in India, and then all falls apart, like a year later.
After coming through a dark period and a dark time where I lost a lot of my self-confidence because I was let down and I got very upset in my personal life, and so through that I lost a lot of my strength, and I had to turn inward.
You love who you love. You can't make yourself stop dreaming who you're dreaming of. You know?
I don't know, I still believe in love, most definitely. I'm just gonna let that take the lead.
One thing's certain, the ups and downs of Katy Perry's spectacular life will always work their way into her music. There is much that's paradoxical about Katy Perry. It's all part of her unique charm. Behind the kittens and cupcake cuteness, there lies a steely, unsentimental attitude towards the industry that sustains her.
I'm gonna take you on a little tour. No pun intended. This is Fern. He makes things happen, runs things. all the bad people, no the bad fans.
Katy Perry isn't a classic pop princess. She's a real tigress.
There were definitely two Katys. She treated us very well, was very gracious. Katy's personality is quite difficult to gauge because she does seem to exist in two places, and the Katy Perry persona has one personality, which is obviously the projection, and then there's her.
We don't have the damn strawberries! Bradford, this sucks. We don't have strawberries.
You gave 4 away last night.
I gave my strawberries away last night. We have these specially made strawberries that you can probably see all over the internets because we get them made, they're larger than life, they're about this big, and then we toss them out into the audience and they kind of like bounce them around like beach balls.
There were a couple of moments on the first 2 gigs when the video screens didn't work. A couple of the production managers got bawled out. We saw them running away from the production office, sort of looking very disgruntled. So she runs a tight ship and she wasn't very happy about that.
Where's my cherry chapstick? Bradford, do you have my cherry chapstick? A man should never have a woman's cherry chapstick.
Katy is very different from a lot of stars. When we were there rehearsing, she was just nice enough to introduce herself to everyone, and she didn't come in like she owned the place, even though it was all about her, you know, it was her show. She was just really humble, which was nice to work with.
Hello. Oh yes, my microphone stand. Hold on, stay right here.
When we got onto her tour bus, that was definitely the peek behind the curtain, and you felt like you were meeting the real Katy there. And having just been exposed to Katy Perry for 4 weeks, and that larger-than-life persona, and she looks like a doll, and her eyelashes are insane, and you know, she's wearing 6-inch heels whenever you see her, so she towers over you, and then you meet the real person, and she's just this sort of quite fragile girl in a juicy couture tracksuit and some Uggs with her hair in a scrunchie.
So, I like a theme, like I told you, kittens and fruit. I don't know why.
I would expect from Katy to turn up in some glamorous outfit, like looking amazing, and she just turned up in tracksuit bottoms, hat, sunglasses, and she was like, let's go.
What you see is what you get. You know, she's like a normal girl.
I'm not a very complex girl, I just like certain things. And so I had them make an LED fruit glittered microphone stand. LED lights, basically, this lights up into different colors of the rainbow when it's on, and it can pulsate and it can flash different rhythms and different colors to match the song. If it's like a song called Hot and Cold, it will go up and down. And these fruit glitter, and it's kind of heavy. And then I had my microphone crystallized with cherries. It's these little things that keep me really happy to be on the road 365 days out of the year.
I also have danced with Pink. Comparing those two, Katy was very, very much like a new girl to the scene, very shy, kind of smiled at us, whereas Pink was with us on stage, right guys, like directing us literally. So the difference, you know, was massive at the time.
So I have to tell you, everybody always asks, is there something you do before a show? And I never used to have a ritual per se besides warming up and stretching. But then after singing every other day for like 5 days for a whole year and a half, 5 days a week, my voice started getting a little bit tired and I needed to come up with more of a ritual. And my very close friend and manager said, when Roy Orbison was alive, he used to drink a Coca-Cola and have a Tylenol an hour before his show. And he put on a performance like no other every single night. And Katy Lang does it as well. And I guess I started doing it. So every night, an hour before my show, I have some Coca-Cola and a Tylenol. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think it just messes with my mind to let me know we're gonna have a great show. It's probably not the greatest idea because caffeine isn't usually good for singers. I'm probably freaking out. So many vocalists that are watching this right now, they're like, that is a horrible idea. Well, Roy Orbison did it. He's a classic. Come on!
She seemed very young and quite vulnerable. And yeah, she seemed tired, but that's to be expected. You know, the weight of the world is on her shoulders. She is literally carrying all of these people in this huge, sort of monolithic career she's built for herself.
My mother never let me drink Coca-Cola. That's really why I think I do it.
The amount of pressure, those thousands of people that are out there every night waiting to see her.
The pressure on Katy would be absolutely enormous to keep going the way she does. You have to remember, someone who makes it to the top in the world that she has is incredibly focused.
Trapped in an elevator.
They are determined, they are goal-directed. Those are psychological traits that set them up to get there. As long as she has a good support group around her, she will manage the pressure around her.
She was very much in her bubble and looked after.
We're here.
A lot of her friends from back home were part of the crew. She wants to keep them around her, which I thought was really charming and, you know, suggests she's a really good person.
This is my band.
Hello, random television camera. Don't talk to me.
We have one only Japanese-speaking person in the band. He doesn't speak English.
I don't understand a word you're saying.
We only make fun of him.
So she was there for everyone, and she was just working as a whole team.
I hate to keep on using the word gracious, but it describes her behaviour.
She's an amazing artist and a performer, but she's real, and that's why I think people just absolutely love her.
Should we tell the camera who is here tonight?
Her publicist always says, oh, Katy's so funny, like she just doesn't take herself too seriously. Just, you can have a laugh with her.
Okay, so
There's
my
a rumor. Prince Harry.
Prince Harry's here.
Harry. Not William.
I love a hot gin. No. Really.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. My sister is a ginger. I've had enough of that in my life already.
She's really sort of charismatic and really fun and bubbly, just a barrel of laughs to go out with.
I think she's fabulous. You know, she's a wonderful role model. She gets out there, she does her own thing.
I'm very independent. I can take care of myself. And yeah, I want to cuddle sometimes. And yeah, I get hungry sometimes. And I'm nice generally, but I want to do my own thing.
She's not afraid to be normal.
That's definitely part of her personality and something that she's always trying to project, that she's approachable and, you know, down to earth.
Come on, show us our... This is the prom king. This is the prom queen. I always want to be really relatable. Like when I reach out there, I want them to be able to reach back. Every night I go into the crowd and I get like into the crowd. And you know, after I come back, everyone's like, you're crazy, you gotta stop doing that. I'm like, why? They don't expect it. That's that one extra thing that they don't expect that's kind of like, well, she's normal or she's like a real person. I hate the idea that I'm any different than them or that they couldn't do this. I hate when musicians think they're better than other people or they stop relating or connecting. I think it's all about the connection. And I always want to connect with my audience. I want them to know that we're kind of on the same team. We are on the same team. Thank you so
much. Since the inception of her career, Katy Perry has become a global brand. In the midst of promoting her music, the perpetually busy star has been building a multi-million-dollar product empire with an impressive array of commercial achievements, ranging from album sales and merchandise to touring and endorsements. In every category, Katy is at the forefront.
I'm really happy to present her here in London, first, foremost, Next week in New York City, it'll be fantastic.
They represent Katy.
I think it does. It's very, very sexy, so I want to go and buy it.
I just think she's amazing.
Katy, the ultimate businesswoman, has endorsed lots and lots of products.
She's a shrewd businesswoman.
She has 3 fragrances.
Killer Queen, Purr and Meow.
She has like her Pop Chips endorsements and her GHD endorsement.
She has had a range of nails, a range of nail varnish from API.
She also has her own range of fake eyelashes.
Her statement look is her false eyelashes.
She's the face of the cosmetics brand CoverGirl. And she's also had a role in the console game Sims 3.
This is a woman who is very astute and very clever. She was the first person to wear tiger print nails or put Smurfs on nails, and in fact, when she wore some yellow nail varnish to the MTV Awards, it sold out afterwards.
It's important to kind of have a brand and create your own, you know, excitement, but Katy does that, but the music is always first.
Ooh. Oh. Hearts off my butt. We look smashing, don't we? Kind of, not really. I'm not a one-hit wonder. I'm not a 2-hit wonder. Hopefully not a 3-hit wonder. I'm just happy. I'm happy that it's happened and it's happened to go for so long.
Before she roared onto the pop scene as the incarnation of a global mega brand, Katy Perry's formative years were less starry. In the 1960s, Katy's father, Keith Hudson, lived a hedonistic party lifestyle. He was part of the Strawberry Fields Forever group, a hippie movement which dealt in LSD and campaigned for controversial drug advocate Timothy Leary to be elected as governor.
Keith and Mary Hudson, they both actually had kind of wild child pasts, or typical hippie Keith was. He's known to have taken LSD in the past, and one day, I'm not sure if he'd been taking LSD or not that day, but he was in an apple orchard when he suddenly had these amazing visions of Bible verses in the sky, and he knew that his calling was to become a preacher.
Katy's mother, Mary Perry, was an equally free spirit, a flamboyant wild child who travelled the world and dated legendary guitarist Jimi Hendrix.
Mary, she was a bit of a wild child in her past as well. She used to hang out with Jimi Hendrix at one time. And then she'd gone off to Zimbabwe. She married a one-legged race car driver, but that didn't work out. She came back, she became a news reporter, and it was while covering a church event that she ran into Keith. She fell for him and she fell for God on the same day.
The couple gave up life in the fast lane. They found God, and Katy's destiny as a preacher's child was set. The contrast between Katy's past and present couldn't be more stark. Born in 1984 in the sleepy coastal village of Goleta, California, Katy grew up in a happy but sheltered household, utterly protected from the outside world.
I love Easter. If Easter could be every single holiday, that would be perfect for me, because I remember loving Easter so much, dressing up in those big dresses and the hats and going to church, and I'm like, yes, I look like an Easter egg. I'm so happy right now, and I'm only 10 years old. I don't know, I'm attracted to colors and things that make people smile.
Katy was born in 1984 in a very quiet part of California.
She comes from a really sweet family, an all-American family.
Katy has 2 siblings, a brother David and sister Angela.
She's very close with her brother and her sister.
Her sister was on the tour with us, and she seemed to interact with her a lot and delegate stuff to her. They're quite close and they work together.
When I tour, I take my sister with me. She's essential. She doesn't care how many records I've sold, or what I'm doing, or who I'm playing for, or, you know, yada, yada, yada. She puts me in my place. She loves putting me in my place, actually. And I fearfully respect her because of that. I have this like fear, you know, that fear you have of your parents when you're little, of like, okay, yes. It's kind of the same fear I have of my sister. We love each other. From a distance. I'm just kidding. It's like Bodyguard. No, it's not. Hopefully, God, it's not.
Christianity played a huge part in Katy Hudson's upbringing. Her devout Pentecostal parents had strict beliefs and practices.
She had a very unusual childhood. They were sort of cocooned from normal society.
Both of her parents are pastors, they're very religious.
They were extremely strict parents, but it was more the values and the very strict conditions that her parents put on the children that affected her somewhat.
Coming from her family religious background and stuff, it must have been extra hard to make it.
The religious upbringing that Katy had would have had a tremendous impact on her personality.
Katy's come out publicly and said quite a lot of negative things about her childhood. She in fact once said she didn't have a childhood.
Katy's parents became travelling ministers. From the age of 3, her childhood was spent travelling across America as her parents founded new churches. With no fixed home, the family lived in Oklahoma, Arizona, and Florida. Freelance ministry is not a lucrative line of work. The family gave their all to God and often struggled financially.
Between the ages of 3 and 11, she actually travelled a lot with the family because they were travelling from town to town preaching this fire and brimstone, hell, Satan. It was all very real to her.
You've got to remember that those sort of quite serious religions, like the Pentecostal religion that her parents are part of, lay down a very strict path. You know, you have to follow that path. Katy's not a natural follower.
In the Hudson household, the devil was made out to be a real person. Her mother, in fact, banned the word lucky entirely from the household because she said it had connotations of Lucifer, the devil.
She did have to rebel against her background and her upbringing, so probably took quite a lot of strength for her to do it, and that's what we really admire about her.
It's surprising because she suddenly wears some pretty full-on outfits.
She's cheeky. Her past was a lot more sort of good girl, really, whereas now I think she's got a bit of a naughty side.
And there's my cherry chapstick. We have a couple versions of this cherry chapstick, a larger one and then the little sister one. And I bring this out every night because for some reason, even though I Kissed a Girl has been playing for maybe a year and a few months now, people still forget to bring their cherry chapsticks to the show. It's very perplexing. All these girls in the front row forget to bring their cherry chapstick, so then they miss the opportunity to lock lips with yours truly. So, luckily for them, I bring my own. I carry it thousands of miles. It's been to Japan, it's been to Moscow, it's been to London. Well, we're in London. It's been everywhere, and we have to get it cleaned every single night because sometimes girls end up kissing it. And at the end of the night, I kiss a girl. That's right, I've kissed over 100 girls.
By the time Katy was 11, the Hudson family had settled in Santa Barbara, California, where she spent her teenage years. Despite Katy's strict upbringing, or perhaps because of it, her quirky style began to shine through before she reached her teens.
I remember when I was in 6th grade, I've always been obsessed with clothes. As a little girl till now, the obsession has gotten a lot worse. But I remember seeing a fake vintage leopard coat in an antique store. And I really wanted it, and I think it was like $60, which was a lot of money. And, you know, I don't come from anything, and that was a big present. But I remember I opened it up on Christmas Day and I got it. And I wore it in California, which is not winter weather, you know, and it's this heavy, like, leopard jacket. And I remember after that break of Christmas break and then going back to school, Everybody wears their new outfits and they're so excited. Everything is like squeaky and glossy and everybody looks like a walking model, you know? And I wore my leopard coat and I got so made fun of. All the kids hated it. But I knew I was doing something really good because all the moms that were picking up the kids were like, sweetheart, where did you happen to get that coat? It's fabulous. And I was like, you just wait and see. You may only be 12, but your 30-year-old mom loves it, and she might know something. She reads Vogue. You read Teen People.
Katy actually confessed to Cosmo about how she wasn't actually even allowed to read Cosmo when she was a teenage girl because it had too much sex in there, which is quite funny now because she's been on the cover so many times. She told us it was because her parents didn't approve of the sex content and didn't like the fact that there was a girl on the front cover with a bit of cleavage showing, and now she is indeed one of those girls with her cleavage out on Cosmo, and she loves it. She feels empowered by it. When I think about who I want to go on the cover, I always think about Katy. And it's crazy that as a teenager she wasn't allowed to read it, but it's come full circle now and she's very pleased with that transformation.
Have you ever kissed a girl? I haven't. I'm saving myself for Miley Cyrus.
She's a wonderful role model. She gets out there, she does her own thing. She actually made people feel fine with her saying that, as a preacher's daughter even, saying that, you know, I kissed a girl and I liked it.
It seems as though that was an attention-grabbing thing to talk about something so provocative, but absolutely not when you meet her and you can see that this is absolutely her. She's quirky.
Actually, it's kind of one of those things where, like, you open up a magazine and you look to your significant other and you're like, I'm not gonna lie, if Scarlett Johansson walked into the room and she wanted to kiss me, I might let her. I hope you're okay with that. It's one of those, like, that's my one. And it talks about, like, just like the magical beauty of a woman and how, like, special that is and how we can pretty much do anything. We are the dominant species.
Katy's parents weren't accepting, especially after she came out with songs like I Kissed a Girl, which the Hudsons actually publicly decried as shameful and disgusting.
It was so daring for her to do that and to make other people feel good about experimenting. And I think that's a very healthy role model to have.
At the time, it was really unheard of, you know, this really sexy girl singing about kissing girls, and I thought, oh my God, that's so cool.
You'd think that maybe the relationship between Katy and her parents now would be a little strained, but they actually all get on very well, and her parents support her in what she does.
I think the I Kissed the Girls were never like, ooh, let's see how I can stir up a pot of scandalous, you know? It was actually just me telling my story, and that is how I see the world, you know, and that's kind of like the funny, messed up way I live my life, I guess, with a dark kind of undertone, sarcastic dark undertone. Humor is so important in my life. Laughing is just like, it feels so good, and it's a main ingredient for, you know, everything I do, because it can be really stressful, and there can be a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes you just gotta let it roll off your back and have a laugh about it, or turn it into that kind of thing, like, oh, what can you do, you know? If I start to edit myself and the things I'm saying, then I don't think the people that first bought my record will really know that it's coming from an honest place, you know? I'm not trying to edit myself for other people and write a record that other people want. I'm writing a record that I want.
Katy Perry may have rebelled against her Christian past, but her upbringing is undoubtedly responsible in some part for her overwhelming appeal. Gospel music propelled Katy into the music world and still remains at her core.
Katy is still religious to this day. She has publicly said that she believes in God.
She has a tattoo that says Jesus on one wrist.
She got a tattoo at the age of 18 to remind her where she comes from.
She hasn't had it removed, so you have to assume that there is a level of faith there.
She does have these real traditional values, but her career has been anything but traditional. You know, she's been quite outlandish.
Although the Pentecostal religion would have been imprinted on her sort of whole psyche, she's found her own way to go through life, and she seems to straddle both her religious background and being in the pop world, which, let's face it, the music industry can be quite a dirty world.
She's been quite provocative and sexy at times, and that's what we love about her.
She's just so real, and she's just like this normal girl that's happened to follow her passion, never give up. You can really, really see that in her career path.
In one sense, her religious upbringing would have given her a kind of inner strength, but in another sense, she would have also felt quite naturally, well, I'm going to follow my own path, because she's a very strong personality.
When you do end up in the spotlight, there's still all those things going on in relationships and friendships in your family, and you definitely don't air them out as much, or I never really did in the first place much, but that's where kind of like my songwriting comes from, is my own therapeutic moments I need to have with myself to get over a situation or get over a problem I'm having or deal with something I'm going through. I usually write a song about it, and I've been through a lot.
The natural music ability which would make Katy a star was apparent by the age of 13, when she began to play the guitar and write her own songs.
The first times I started singing was in church, but then when I started playing guitar, I would go into the newspaper and I would find, you know, open mic sessions and coffee shops that would let anybody sign up to play. Although I was pretty good at karaoke. And I would go there and I would just pull out my guitar and play these little rough drafts of songs and get people's feedback and really see if it was connecting, if people really related to it, or if they would even listen, you know.
Katy Hudson, as she was known then, has always been very, very interested in music. Her family called her Katy Bird, or the songbird, because she was just always warbling away. And it was about the age of 9 that her mother suggested she start to get singing lessons, and they quickly noticed her talent.
She was in a gospel choir, and she is an accomplished guitarist.
Katy asked for her first guitar age 13, which she received for her birthday, and she started writing songs pretty much straight away. A lot of them were about God and gospel songs, but she did privately, behind her parents' back, also start writing little tunes about boys and normal teenage stuff.
It would be a sad day for me if I sang songs that I felt like any other pop artist could just put their vocals on or sing. I'm happy to be pop. I'm happy that the music is very mainstream, but I also need it to be storytelling.
With a talent for translating personal pain into professional triumph, Katy unifies her audience, who relate to her autobiographical lyrics on a personal level.
She's very, very good on stage. She's worth seeing because, like, it's always like I don't like when you go to a show and like the artist doesn't really connect with the crowd. But she's always got a story to tell, and she's always quite funny. Even though at every show she says she's not a very good public speaker, doesn't stop.
Lyrics are so important to me. I mean, how many times do you turn on the radio, hear a song, and you're like, what? And what are they saying? What is it that they're saying? I know they're talking about the club and the beat and the DJ and the dance, but does it mean anything at the end of the day? So, I don't know.
Katy Perry is not your average manufactured act. A lot of people think she has nothing to do with her own songwriting. In actual fact, she is very involved. She does work with other producers, of course. However, all her lyrics come from, real life experiences and very personal to her.
Max Martin is a very big songwriter from Sweden. He helps me with melodies, and then I'll slap all of my lyrics on top of it. And for some reason, a kid that's 4 years old can sing it, and to a person that's 85. My grandmother even.
The queen of modern pop is no stranger to a suggestive song lyric, but raw emotions are the driving force behind the Perry phenomenon.
In my personal life and in interviews and when I sit down to talk about things, sometimes I don't give as much detail as I used to, but I think I am saving it for the songs, and the songs I'm just gushing, you know.
Katy won't always talk about her personal experiences in interviews, but she will talk about it through her music.
She tells a story through her songs. It's not just a song for a song's sake.
You listen to her album and you feel like you've gone through it all with her.
At heart, she's a naturally creative person as a singer-songwriter. And we know in art therapy and music therapy how powerful they are as tools at a therapeutic level.
She seems to really relate to people with her lyrics.
She writes it herself, and the lyrics are written from personal experience. You can totally imagine it's about that breakup and what she's been through. And that's why I love her music so much. Lyrics we all could cry to sometimes, because we think about a boy or a breakup and we can put ourselves completely in her shoes.
She was kind of doing her own therapy by being creative, pouring her heart into her lyrics. That is a powerful way of sort of moving yourself forward.
During Katy's childhood, the Hudson family lived a sheltered life. She and her two siblings were not permitted to watch cable channels like MTV, and pop music was banned in the household.
I didn't really have a whole lot of MTV in my life growing up, but I know that when I did see the bits and pieces I saw, they were really powerful, and they really affected me, and I kind of grew up always, you know, having that in the back of my mind saying, oh, I want to be a part of something like that.
Katy was exposed to gospel music only through her family.
She was actually banned from watching TV. She told us it was because her parents didn't approve.
She wasn't allowed to watch any TV, but obviously they couldn't block everything out, and so, you know, as she became a young teenager and she went to friends' places, she'd watch MTV.
When I was a kid, I remember getting a hold of that Jagged Little Pill record by Alanis Morissette. I felt like I was the only person going through whatever I was going through, and then she sang songs and wrote songs about it, and I was like, okay, I'm not alone. Great.
Katy seems to have a lot of different influences.
She loved Alanis Morissette, which is quite at odds with her, where she's playing the guitar and she's singing Christian songs. She's a real country girl.
Her early style icons were Gwen Stefani and Shirley Manson in Garbage.
Other influences included Madonna, Joni Mitchell, and Gwen Stefani in particular.
She liked these sort of rock star women. That's why her career took a while to progress. It was about finding herself and finding her sound.
She's obviously this pop phenomenon now. She tried to go down that slightly more underground route first.
It took her a while to do that because she did have to rebel against her background and her upbringing, so it probably took quite a lot of strength for her to do it, and that's what we really admire about her.
I would have to add to that, Madonna has been a real inspiration for her. Certainly you can see the kind of 80s desperately seeking Susan in Katy quite a lot of the time.
I want to be that what is she doing next artist. I really do, because all the people that I am inspired by are those type of artists. So like Freddie Mercury, Madonna, everybody's always like, what are they going to do next, or what did he do next, or you know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to push the envelope and just play music, good music. As a female pop, person, I feel like sometimes you're missing those females in the pop music industry that actually bring it.
The first time she heard Freddie Mercury's voice, it was just like time stood still for her.
You wouldn't imagine her liking somebody as rock, as Queen, but she really did.
I had that moment when I was 15, and I had come from this sheltered upbringing and didn't know really the name of a Madonna song, I didn't know really any of that type of stuff. that everybody was just like duh to. And my best friend put on a soundtrack to our day as we were, you know, raiding her closet. And I remember Killer Queen came on, and it was like I heard the song and we were, you know, trying on these dresses on top of her bed in this full-length mirror, and the song came on and I just like had to sit down on the edge of the bed and listen to these lyrics, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I never thought that anybody could write lyrics like these, especially a guy. Brian May from the band Queen is here. I'm gonna watch the show tonight, so I'm a little nervous actually. No, you're not.
Yes, he's talking to him about Queen.
No, you're not. I'll throw up. I won't be able to perform. Oh, she went. All right, Pink Flamingos.
I saw that movie.
Pink Flamingos. Everybody say John Waters on 3. 1, 2, 3. John Waters. Brian May came to a show in London. I had actually been stalking him and, you know, having some of the people that I work with send emails saying, oh, by the way, we're in town again. If you ever have a night off, we'd love for you to come out and see the show. I was really nervous when he actually decided he was going to show up, but he was lovely and supportive and cool and hung out with my bandmates, you know, when he probably has a million other things to do.
By the time she was 15, Katy Hudson's passion for music had grown. Chaperoned by her parents, she began taking trips to Nashville, Tennessee to pursue a career in the Christian music industry.
Katy left school aged 15 when she went off to Nashville to make her first album.
She was taking trips to Nashville and exploring the music scene when she was 15 years old. She was back and forth.
She did end up finishing her high school diploma later on.
She got signed by a label, then she released a Christian album.
Katy's first album, Katy Hudson, was released in 2001. It was gospel music only.
It wasn't successful.
Her Christian gospel album only sold like 200 copies.
Unfortunately, the label went bust.
It was just a case of finding herself, and I think that's why it was great that she didn't make it in those early years with those country albums, because that wasn't her, and this is her now, and it's really empowering that she can be that.
Hi everyone! This is kind of awesome. Can you hear me all the way back there? Listen, so this is the thing that's going to happen. I have to act like a professional on this pink carpet for a second, and after I'm done acting like a professional, I'm going to come out and get wild with you, okay?
Disappointed but undaunted by the failure of her first album, Katy Hudson adopted a new surname, abandoned the gospel genre, and aged just 17, headed to Los Angeles to pursue her dream of stardom on the pop circuit.
I started out playing in this place in Los Angeles called Hotel Cafe. A lot of musicians come through there, a lot of singer-songwriters, but you never know who's going to show up. If you can go into like a bar and play a song and have anybody listen, you really kind of made it.
After her first album's non-event, she wasn't deterred. She decided to go to California and to pursue a career in pop music.
She'd actually been working really hard behind the scenes for many years and trying to make it.
Katy changed her last name from Hudson to Perry, which is her mother's maiden name, because she was worried that she would get associated with the Hollywood actress Kate Hudson, because she was convinced that she would become famous.
After her arrival in LA, Katy was introduced to one of America's foremost producers, Glenn Ballard. who was responsible for Alanis Morissette's chart-topping hit Jagged Little Pill.
Katy met with Glenn and he was straight away convinced that she would be a star. Things started going really well at first. She was writing heaps and heaps of songs and it looked like she would get an album out. However, things stalled quite quickly. The next few years would be incredibly frustrating for Katy.
Unable to secure a record deal through Island Def Jam, Katy subsequently signed with Columbia Records, but they too let her go.
Originally, her managers wanted her to front a band in a Joan Jett style, like a rock and roll band, and that didn't work out, and they tried different incarnations.
She was trying lots of different tacks to get her music out there.
Given that her management company also managed the B-52s, it's not that much of a leap to think that that's probably originally how they'd envisioned her, as something more underground.
They kept saying, you could be the next Avril Lavigne or Kelly Clarkson, and she didn't want to be, she just wanted to be the first Katy.
By 2006, having been dropped by 3 record labels, Katy was broke and on the edge.
The guys that really didn't understand my artistic vision were like, no, we're not going to put her record out. And I played my songs. I kept playing my songs. And what was responding were the people. They were there for me. And people were supporting these songs, and they were telling me that this was the right thing to do.
She had a period in 2006 where she was quite down and she was struggling to get her first album out. She admits she went out drinking quite a bit at that stage.
She's not had an easy journey. She's worked hard for her success.
There's that definite sense of incredible determination.
Katy is 1,000,000,000,000,000% dedicated to her craft. If you want to succeed in anything, you've got to just absolutely dedicate your life to it, and she has.
Katy's undeniable talent and willful determination to succeed paid off in 2007 when she was signed by the Capitol Music Group. By November that year, a digital release of You're So Gay was unleashed.
It's important for me to come out and support Katy Perry because I've been a big fan of hers for a long time, before Madonna. In case you don't know, Madonna gave her a shout out a few times saying that one of her songs, You're So Gay, was her favorite song of the moment. But I wrote about Katy first, and I think I introduced her to Madonna.
For Madonna to know somebody's first and last name? What? Madonna, what are you thinking? I reached out for my inhaler, most definitely. When I heard that, I was like, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. So most definitely amazing.
She did You're So Gay. It was like a free release in 2007.
You're So Gay was a free download on her MySpace page. It was received pretty well by her followers at the time.
The debut single, You're So Gay, generated some media attention, but failed to chart. In 2008, Katy teamed up with power pop writing duo Max Martin and Dr. Luke, the collaborators behind the hits of Britney Spears, Pink, and Taylor Swift.
The label suggested that Katy get in the studio with a couple of really happening producers, Dr. Luke and Max Martin.
She walked into a rehearsal studio and said, you know, that's it, I'm going to be part of the problem. And they said, what do you mean? And she said, I just want to make sure that this happens, so I'm going to be a pop star. And that was like the moment she decided to become Katy Perry almost.
They quickly come up with about 3 different songs, one of which was I Kissed a Girl.
The California dreamer had achieved her goal. In true fairy tale fashion, she rebranded herself and exploded onto the mainstream with the 2008 release of the infectious single, I Kissed a Girl.
I would like to thank Dr. Luke for ordering lunch for us, and for setting up the hookah, and for calling the tech when the computer crashes. And for making me rich! I love you! You're a pain in the ass!
The single proved to be one of the most infectious power pop anthems of the decade and established Katy's metamorphosis into America's pop sweetheart and the world's best-selling star.
It was, you know, something that I didn't think
ever could really happen because, I mean, my record only came out like 5 months ago. I should still be sitting at home eating mac and cheese and watching the EMAs, but I hosted it. It was larger than life.
It was only when she did something as controversial as singing about kissing a girl that she made it.
It's got that sort of salacious vibe to it, but as her career has progressed, that song has made a lot more sense.
It was like a massive, massive commercial success.
Quite often we'll hear of musicians and singers many, many years before they make it big and there'll be a bit of a buzz, but literally didn't hear of her until that summer, and it was just Katy's summer.
I Kissed a Girl was instantly a worldwide hit.
It went to #1 and we heard it everywhere.
It was like bang, overnight success.
I'm gonna call my friends and say, please don't order without me, I'm starving. And by the way, I got nominated. Booyah.
Katy's first mainstream album, One of the Boys, shot into the top 10 in America and produced a string of hits, including Hot and Cold and Waking Up in Vegas. Katy's stardom has been soaring ever since.
When I wrote Waking Up in Vegas, it was just basically about getting into trouble. I don't know if you know anything about Vegas, but it's a place where you get into trouble. You probably don't write home about it necessarily. And usually you take your best friend or your boyfriend or, you know, that person you can have trouble with, and you really can't apologize afterwards, even if you look like crap the next day or you end up having to bail yourself out of some kind of situation. It's a fun kind of party anthemic song, just about having a great time, you know?
By the end of 2008, One of the Boys had reached platinum success, and Katy's professional career continued to progress full steam ahead.
Are you confident this evening? Are you confident about your chances?
No, not at all. It's very competitive in my category.
Are you a fan of the Brits? Is it something you've watched before? Do you know?
I haven't watched it because I live in the States, but I know its importance. I know it's you know, as important as the Grammys, and to be a foreigner on, you know, be a foreigner here and to be nominated is a big deal. So thanks.
6 MTV Music Awards and 2 Grammy Award nominations later, the multifaceted artist began writing tracks for her career-defining Teenage Dream album.
I don't feel completely different than when I started. I feel like I have a lot to prove still, and I still have that ambition and that drive that I had, you know, when I didn't have any money, or when I didn't know what was going to happen in the future, if I was going to make it or anything. I still kind of feel that way of like, oh, this is great, I had a great hit record and I know that I'm good at this and this is my gift, but I know I have to work at it and continue to kind of keep shaping it and not just like let it sit out and, you know, oh, now I'm famous and I have 12 people doing it all for me, you know? No, I can't do that type of stuff or it won't work. Like, you know, all that stuff I've been going through and perspective I see life now and the relationships I have with people, you know, all that's kind of bubbling to the top, and it's gonna spill over and it's definitely going to seep into all of my songs. I guess, you know, I'm over my period. I know how to handle boys now. Actually, I don't even mess with boys anymore. I mess with men, you know?
Katy's highly publicized romances with celebrity bad boys have always ensured she dominates the headlines.
I'm doing a ton of festivals, and usually, well, I actually have a couple of my girlfriends out because I told them to come out. I'm gonna go and do a couple of festivals, and I'll be backstage, and there's lots of hot band boys hanging out. You should come and we can creep on them. And we get into trouble, yeah, we definitely do.
Katy first met British actor and controversial comedian Russell Brand in 2009 during filming for a cameo appearance for the movie Get Him to the Greek.
Distinction and difference from each other, I think, is really, really important, and genuine affection, I think, genuine affection, but difference, I think creates good chemistry.
Katy first encountered Russell Brand in the movie Get Him to the Greek. She was filmed in a cameo role where she actually had to kiss Russell, but it got cut, so it never appeared in the final movie.
I nearly choked on my coffee when I first heard that she was going out with Russell Brand.
It was weird when they got together actually, because knowing them separately, you would never, ever, ever put them together.
They look like such incredibly different characters. You know, he always had that dark and kind of seedy side to him, and she was this kind of fresh, you know, vibrant, energetic pop princess who really knows her own mind, but she still had that kind of very fresh and innocent look about her.
He looked like this kind of challenge and this guy that she could help, and you know, she's so positive and amazing.
So in one sense, it was kind of like, whoa, they're going to make it work.
She took quite a fancy to him, but you know, he was trying to like get her to go out with him that night, and she said, no, you're going to have to wine and dine me, and it sort of developed from there.
Russell Brand achieved notoriety in Britain as a television host and stand-up comedian.
Who is using this as an opportunity to shoplift? Yeah, I definitely would, because a lot of the security is distracted at a time like this, so yeah, feel free.
Russell was really fun, and I thought he was quite charming to begin with.
Working in London since I was 18, I've known Russell on the scene before he moved to LA. To say that he was a Lothario is an understatement. You know, he would leave venues and clubs like 4 or 5 girls.
He has a really short attention span and gets bored easily and just go, go, go.
Katy's kissing scene was cut from Get Him to the Greek, but in September 2009, the on-screen passion bubbled over into real life when the couple's paths crossed again at the MTV Video Music Awards.
I don't think she realised the impact that would have on me, because it was like you know, there's not a person in my life that I haven't at some point sulked about and not spoken to for at least a few days. But it was like reaching back into my childhood, taking the injured nincompoop of a boy I was, and sort of putting a laurel upon his brow. It was like a marvellous, and plus she looked amazing.
They met at the MTV Awards and they had a play fight, and you know, I bet he would have been very funny and fun, and that would have been really nice and refreshing for her, because I'm suppose that most guys that she meet are kind of like a bit, I don't know, intimidated by her.
She is a feisty woman. She's not going to choose a doormat. She would be utterly bored with a man who followed her around like a puppy. She's a challenge herself, so of course she's going to choose challenging men.
He prefers to sort of date a string of women.
He has had problems of sex and passion addiction. Now, another aspect, of course, of that kind of womanizing is the sense of the thrill that they get. Russell has spoken about that very honestly. Like a love pirate, he kind of made his way through all these sort of women. And at some level, women are attracted to that.
They both seem to fall in love with each other very quickly, very deeply, madly.
Katy wouldn't talk about it as such, but she couldn't resist kind of talking about it a little bit because she was so happy and she was planning their wedding.
The couple became engaged on New Year's Eve 2009 while on holiday in Rajasthan, India.
We're getting married. It's gonna be somewhere fabulous, but I can't say. It's definitely not in India, because we already went there. I was already engaged. I was there for 2 weeks. Over it. Japan!
British comedian Russell Brand and American pop star Katy Perry have tied the knot. The couple has issued a statement confirming they were married Saturday in a private and spiritual ceremony in northern India. A Christian minister and longtime friend of Perry's family helped the couple exchange vows. The wedding was reportedly held at a luxury resort in a tiger reserve, attended by family members and close friends. Security was tight at the hotel, with private guards stationed there and at other nearby hotels. The couple and their guests started arriving in Jaipur for the 6-day celebration on Wednesday. Brand proposed to Perry in the historic Indian city back in January. Ross Simpson, The Associated Press.
The real Russell Brand, wherever the hell he is, has been tamed.
He has.
With dog sweets.
I was just happy for them both.
I was like, oh, Russell and Katy, okay, getting married, that's cool.
They seemed really cute together and really loved up, so of course you would like to see someone that you know happy, if it's not with you, with somebody else.
Anything that flagged up to me that they were not going to work out was the fact that they had that huge over-the-top wedding, which when people put everything into show, often underneath it, it's because there's nothing really there to support it. And they feel they overcompensate at a psychological level by showing to the world how big their love is when actually it's quite fragile.
They hadn't known each other that long, but she was just feeling this romance and she felt totally in love with him and him her. And they went for it.
And living each other's lives. Sorry.
Every day is a laugh with this crazy ass one. Let's go eat!
Bye-bye.
In 2010, Katy returned with yet another hit machine. The album Teenage Dream took her career to record-breaking heights when she became the first female artist in history to produce 5 #1 hits from a single album.
I am on the battlefield myself, but I'm just singing pop songs. But yeah, I'm away from my hubby every once in a while, and we use Skype and iChat, and you know that really helps. And so I just I hope that everybody can find a great Christmas and be blessed.
In 2010, Teenage Dream was released, and that basically eclipsed everything that had come before it as far as Katy's recording career was concerned.
Her second album, that was phenomenally successful in a record-breaking way. She is the only female artist to have got 5 #1 singles from an album ever.
That was just an amazing accomplishment for Katy, especially at such a young age.
The only other person to do that was Michael Jackson. So it was crazy successful and she's still flying.
Previously, in the past 2 years, I've had a nomination for Best Female Pop Performance, and I was nominated for that award this year, it's 3rd time, plus 3 more. So I feel a lot of love coming my way. I feel like I made the right decisions with the record, and once again, like my gut feeling, my instincts have paid off for me. So.
Riding high on the phenomenal success of Teenage Dream, in February 2011, Katy launched a second extravagant world tour, California Dreams.
I think that's what I'm all about, is having fun and making people realize that music can still be very fun and entertaining. And I do like to, have my serious points, but generally life is really serious, and it's nice to kind of take a breather from that for an hour and a half when you come to the show.
In 2011, Katy embarked on her second major tour. This one was called California Dreams. It was 122 dates across 3 continents.
It was absolutely huge in terms of the size of the arenas, which ranged from about 6,000 to 12,000. The scope of it was mind-blowing, really.
It was just incredible. It took her a year to do.
We'd never seen anything like it. She had 8 juggernauts with the stage in them, and then she had about 10 tour buses. She had 80 crew, which were her riggers, sparks. She had a boatload of dancers, choreographers. She had about 4 costumiers, a masseuse, a personal trainer. She had her 2 managers with her, her sister, her PA, and a full catering crew.
When I tour, I take a few people with me, my band, all the production and things like that. A lot of times I usually ask for baby wipes backstage because they're great for makeup, they're great for when you don't have a shower, and they're great for other things. And I love having a humidifier in my room at all times.
I was hired as Katy's dancer. I stood next to her because we're very similar height. So as we entered the stage, she was right next to me and she was shaking. I grabbed her hand and I looked at her and I was like, "You're gonna be all right?" And she's like in this cute little American accent, she's like, "Yeah, I know. And she just that steely focus, and she smashed it.
She has this persona of being a semi-50s pin-up, but there's a lot of double entendre and innuendo in her performances.
She had a huge prop. She came out with this massive lipstick, like riding up with like a big helmet on. So she was on this chapstick, which looked like a male sexual organ. So I remember on rehearsals, like she came up riding and she's, you know, like, oh yeah, oh my God, it's so good, so hot. So, you know, we all thought it was brilliant.
Katy wanted fireworks in the background, so the pyrotechnics that we had to use on stage, we had these backpacks, look like Ninja Turtle backpacks, these circular things, and they have fireworks that spin around and create a giant Catherine wheel behind you. If it goes wrong, it could be dangerous. They were quite scary. It made me nervous just before the show, but as soon as we got out there, she lit up the whole crowd. The moment she went out there, thousands of people in that audience, and they were going crazy.
There is nothing like the sound of 12,000 people all singing at the top of their lungs. That is like so stupendous, it's impossible to kind of articulate.
My aim is just to have a fun time and make sure that, you know, these kids go away having a good time, feeling good inside, feeling like they were entertained. Maybe they learned something about who I am and my music, or they were inspired in a creative way.
When it comes to rocking fashion, Katy's inimitable style is celebrated almost as much as the music itself.
Katy is definitely not a slave to fashion. She's completely creates her own look. In fact, I say she's a kind of zeitgeist of fashion.
Not many women could get away with what she wears.
She is like a kind of kaleidoscope explosion of colour and popular culture.
She is completely that showgirl with whipped cream shooting out of her bosoms, you know, that is Katy.
Katy is often seen on the front row of shows. She has a huge relationship with Chanel. She is especially close to Karl Lagerfeld and always on his front row.
I have been researching a lot of the vintage Chanel. Everywhere I go, I was just in Berlin, I was just in London. I always go to the vintage stores and ask for all like the 1990s vintage Chanel if you have it. So I think that the pieces that you buy from Chanel only appreciate in value. It's kind of like a man's watch.
Her style is kind of confusing and chaotic, and it changes all the time.
She uses style to express herself, and she uses it to cheer herself up as well, you know. When you're feeling down, if you put on a crazy frock that's got strawberries all over it, it's gonna make you feel better.
You know, when a girl gets a new outfit, it gives her this extra oomph. And when I get a new outfit, I usually wear it the same day, and I don't know what it is. It's just like that new dress. It makes you feel fun and alive and vibrant.
Katy looks like a Hollywood starlet from the 1940s. I mean, she dresses her curves in that way. But also, she's very reminiscent to me of Vivian Leigh and Greta Garbo. She says that the 1940s is the best style of clothes on her.
She does the done-up look so well, and she kind of has this bit of an old school feel about her.
It's a bit like a Dita Von Teese look.
She really brings that 50s look, the Dita Von Teese, the pale skin and the flicky eyelashes, you know. A lot of girls were caught up in the fake tan and the very fake look, whereas Katy, you know, she's more natural and she's got the pale skin. She's more of like, she's almost like an English rose, but she does like the really precise makeup and the 50s look.
Her makeup is pretty heavy. She hates to go barefaced.
The stage makeup takes at least 2 hours to apply.
It would take her roughly about 2 hours to get ready, but she'd get ready for different things. Like, she would normally arrive to the venue at about 4, and then she'd sort of semi-get ready, like sort of Katy Perry light, and wear a little bodycon outfit, and then she'd go and meet a load of fans and do a meet and greet with them, and then she'd go back into her dressing room and do the full-on Katy Perry thing and come out at about 7, perried up.
She does the brightly coloured costumes and hair, and she's really pared that back and she's really calmed it down.
I like now that she's changed her look a little bit to become a bit more sophisticated.
She has definitely grown up, and her style evolution shows that as well. She's a serious artist, she's got nothing to prove, she's successful, and she looks great.
In December 2011, a mere 14 months after exchanging vows in India, Russell Brand filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences.
The news broke on New Year's Day, and I really felt for her because you could tell she was totally in love with him and wanted to make it work.
It all fell apart because they just simply came from such very different worlds. And then to add insult to injury, everyone discovered that she was dumped by text.
I was shocked, but he can be quite a nasty person.
And that's not really a manly thing to do now, is it?
She found herself lying on the bathroom floor, considering whether to end it all. Very callous and just awful. Poor Katy.
What that tells you at a psychological level is you think, I was only worth a text. And that is incredibly devastating. So it's no surprise that that breakup was so painful for Katy in particular.
I needed to do a lot of self-reflection because I went through a difficult time in my life, and so I needed to go inside and do a lot of work and therapy and mending. I went through the transition, and I did a cleanse for like 3 months, a mind and body and soul type of cleanse, and it made my life so much better and gave me more perspective and helped me live very consciously.
In July 2012, Katy made the leap to the big screen when her biopic movie, Part of Me, was released.
I think it was important for me to leave some of the more difficult things in the film so that it wasn't just a narcissistic fanfare film about how great I am. I think it was important to show that there are obstacles and problems in people's lives, and it's okay if you have them, you just have to overcome them.
Following the collapse of her marriage, Katy was ready to start a new chapter. In October 2012, she found time to support Barack Obama's re-election campaign. The following month, Billboard announced that she would take home the Woman of the Year award. The star also set the rumor mills buzzing when she began dating fellow musician John Mayer.
You know until someone lets you down. We live in this time right now where everybody's expectations are so astronomically high that everybody is settling, quote unquote. To be with anybody is to settle, because it really means settling for not being by yourself.
When I first heard that Katy was dating John Mayer, I just thought, oh no, not another one.
He's got a bad reputation for being a naughty boy.
When you look at the psychology of relationships, the relationship post-divorce is most likely to fail. And that's because people are obviously harboring a lot of emotional baggage and they haven't quite dealt with it. So it's no surprise that with Katy and John, you got that sort of start, then stop, then start again relationship.
I'm very monogamous, and so once I decide I'm gonna like someone, I like them for a long time. And usually I usually have not done dates. I do a lot of like communication, talking, phone or email.
2013 brought a new chapter of optimism to Katy's life. Adding a further title to her list of achievements, the singer-songwriter was appointed as UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador.
I'm very excited to take on this responsibility and this role, to be able to take all the attention that I have and all the spotlight and shine it on the children that need to be illuminated and highlighted and saved and helped. UNICEF in particular was special to me because I took a trip with them. Whatever I decide to do, whether it's be a part of an organization or a brand or anything I do, it's because I've had an experience with them. I saw all these children interacting with each other. There's so much love between them. There's so much compassion, and they don't have anything. They don't have any material possessions. They don't have any social status. It's an unconditional love. I want to wash my hands too. I was really inspired to write this song unconditionally. Seeing these children just have the currency of love between them.
After record-setting success and personal loss, in October 2013, the multifaceted star struck back with the release of her fourth album, Prism.
Well, the new record is a very self-reflective record. It's a record that was influenced by me letting a lot of positivity into my life, a lot of light into my life, especially after coming through a dark period and a dark time. And so, you know, I think the record covers a lot of hope, a lot of joy, a lot of strength. Basically, I called it Prism because I let a lot of light into my life. It influenced all the songs, and now I get to beam it back out into the listener. So I feel very prismatic and full of these wonderful colors. And I just kind of like to be a light.
Katy Perry's rise to the top is a true story of inspiration. Whether touring the globe or launching an out-of-this-world fragrance, the reigning queen of pop continues to conquer.
I'm gonna be a crazy fruit cat lady when I get older. No husband, just 20 cats in my moo-moo that's brightly covered in fruit.
Katy Perry is one of the greatest female artists of the 21st century. And 10 years from now, her music will definitely be around.
Katy will be around as long as she wants to be around, but whether she wants to or not, I'm not sure. I think she really would like the traditional marriage and kids at some point as well.
She's forming a brand. So we're just going to see a new kind of horizon of Katy Perry. Gone will be the kind of dressing up as a snowman on stage or having flashing lights on a kind of swimming costume. It will be much more about a screen goddess and a siren. I think she will take herself into that phase.
I like to start a small fashion line, but very small, I think, for now. And I would like to be a mom one day. That's a challenge, I'm sure. And I'd like to make an acoustic record. That would be a challenge.
Katy's legacy will be the bubblegum pop star with a real heart.
Her music will be her legacy for years to come.
I'm not all great. There might be moments of greatness, but they are very hard worked.